I'm going to introduce Brad Horn to you here right quick. I have not met Brad yet, so this is going to be interesting. And Brad, I apologize ahead of time if I get something wrong here, but also just got this material just a little while ago, so hopefully my reading skills are still up to the 3rd grade level where they've been for a while. But we'll see how we do here. Brad's the Senior Director of Communications for the National Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. Brad's been with the Hall since 2002, and he's responsible for media relations, advertising, education, events, publications, club relations, and artifact acquisitions. He's formerly an executive with the Texas Rangers. He also worked with the National Hot Rod Association in Indianapolis and the Fort Worth Fire hockey team. Brad received his MS in Communications from Syracuse University and his BS in Journalism from Texas Christian University. And Brad, we're honored to have you today and look forward to hearing from you. So, thank you very much.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Steve. Thank you, Doug. It's really a great thrill for me personally to be back here in Round Rock. I snuck down for the opener way back in 2000. I was assistant PR director for the Texas Rangers at the time, and I don't think I was really supposed to be away from Arlington, considering we were about to open the season, but drove down with my dear friend Mark Maurer, took in the game, and drove back to Fort Worth. So I feel like I have been here in some respects from the beginning. And Texas is home, and this is a great opportunity for me to take you all on a journey to Cooperstown. Although it's 2,000 miles away, I'm going to do my best to bring it home here today, and also let you know a little bit about what we do and why the Hall of Fame really does matter. Again, just as a native Texan, for me this is very special. I had the opportunity to catch on at a very young age with the Texas Rangers, and it was guys like Dave Fendrick, Gary Franke, Ross Scott, Jay Miller, all the great people that you see and work with here at the Round Rock Express that provided for me a great environment to learn. And since going to Cooperstown in the last 10 years, a lot has happened to me in a very good way. And I want to take you all through what Cooperstown means to us as a culture, as a society, and ways that from the sports capital of Texas, Cooperstown has meaning and relevance. First, just a quick show of hands of any of those who have been to Cooperstown. All right, good, about 10% maybe. Good, this will be enlightening, hopefully. So, as I said, where baseball's history comes alive, Cooperstown, New York. We are a real place. You know, I talk to players all the time who think that Cooperstown is just a mythical home where artifacts and baseball heroes go on to live forever. And they're half right, but we are real. We're a pastoral village. Upstate New York. It's absolutely beautiful in the summer, and in the winter I try to be in Texas and other places as much as I possibly can. We have a very quaint pastoral setting, really a year-round appreciation, and we're the emotional heartbeat of the game. It's where the game's heart beats the loudest. There's 2,300 year-round residents. I beat the odds and actually found my wife among the 2,300, so I'm really, really thrilled. Cooperstown will always have a special meaning for me. And, you know, we welcome about 300,000 visitors annually, 15 million since 1939. And to give you some idea of where we are, we're nestled in the foothills of the Catskill Mountains, about 75 miles to the west of Albany, 90 miles to the southeast of Syracuse, and only 5,000 city blocks from Manhattan. So, and to answer your question, there is not a subway stop to Cooperstown, so we get that call often. I remember the first time I visited, I was working for the Texas Rangers in 1999, assistant PR director. The team traveled to Cooperstown following the afternoon induction of Nolan Ryan, of course, to Cooperstown. A very glorious day for all Texans and all baseball fans. And I was with the club as the PR contact and had a great memory. And the first thing I did when we left town that day, we got to Baltimore, and I called my dad, who's lived here in Austin for 20 years, and I said, you know, I get it, I understand it, and one of these days, you and I are going to go to Cooperstown together, and I can't wait for that to happen. Well, 2 years later, I wound up moving there, and 10 years later, he's been a regular visitor, and Cooperstown for me has become everything it was ever cracked up to be. Who we are, just to quickly debunk some misnomers about the Baseball Hall of Fame. We are independent of Major League Baseball. We're a not-for-profit educational institution. At the end of the day, we're a charity. We exist to preserve the game's great history, to honor the stars, and to connect generations. An emotional transaction takes place every time someone walks in the front door of Cooperstown. Our job is to make sure that that connection thrives and continues and goes beyond the walls of Cooperstown as much as humanly possible. Simply stated, we preserve history, we honor excellence, and we connect generations. History and generations. These are the two things that Cooperstown brings that no other sport has. Baseball has its history, and it has its Hall of Fame. And you can see there in the photos a couple of great first basemen, Albert Pujols, now the Angels, and Tony Perez of the Marlins. We connect the game more so than any other. And you see there a statue of a young boy looking at the Ted Williams statue in the museum. From the minor leagues, actually starting at the youth leagues, to the minor leagues, to the major leagues, and to the elite. Cooperstown, the emotion is our asset, and that's the capital that we use to convert people to become fans for life. Why we matter. This is really a question that I feel very passionate about, and one that has sustained the test of time for Cooperstown, no matter the economy, no matter what goes on the diamond. Baseball is the Hall of Fame where it represents a journey. It obviously exists to honor the game's greatest players, but it's there to document this great game. And there's so much to be learned from baseball, not only in a historical sense, but in sportsmanship, teammates, being a good leader, being a great role model for society. Every baseball player who has the privilege to step on the field here at the Dell Diamond or to earn election to the Hall of Fame, somewhere along the line, a young kid or an adult has looked unfavorably at that player as a role model. And that's what the Hall of Fame at the very end of the day represents. Where it's a journey, it's a pilgrimage, a word that often comes to mind. And we've existed since 1939, and that's the sole purpose of the institution, is merely to preserve the game in its moments. And by being independent of Major League Baseball, it allows us to tell the stories that truly matter. 3 institutions under one roof. We're the Hall of Fame. 297 members of baseball's Hall of Fame as the current figure. There are 4 ways to earn election to the Baseball Hall of Fame: as a player, a manager, an umpire, or an executive. There are also award winners for broadcast and writing, but those are not members of the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame obviously is the most revered part of what we do, but it is just one part. We're also a museum, 50,000 square feet dedicated to the preservation of the game and its history. We have more than 35,000 artifacts that are shaped together to tell meaningful stories and to truly educate. That's at the heart of everything we do. And finally, a library that serves as the official repository of the game. So in the photos there, it's not just about on-the-field athletes, since we're are very near the live music capital of the world, a great band called the Baseball Project, who goes around the country singing about baseball. They recently visited. Viva Baseball, our newest exhibit on Latino players and the passion and joy and flair that comes out of Latin American baseball. And then Raul Ibanez down there in the library. He visited with his young son just this past off-season. And Raul, of course, longtime Philadelphia Phillies player and signed with the Yankees this off-season. We're a treasure trove of items. This depth of an art collection allows us to tell so many stories. 35,000 three-dimensional artifacts, 130,000 baseball cards, a library with 2.6 million volumes, 500,000 photos, 10,000 hours, 10 to 12,000 hours of recorded audio, video, and we have more stories than we could possibly tell. So it's our job to take these stories out and to provide connecting moments for fans of all generations. Here's our statistics. This is our baseball card. 65 living members of the Baseball Hall of Fame, 297 total. That represents 207 Major League players. See the positional breakout. 72 pitchers, 16 catchers, 21 first basemen, 20 second basemen, 15 third basemen, the least represented position in Cooperstown, 24 shortstops, and so on. 3 other categories: managers, umpires, and executives. 35 individuals from the Negro Leagues. We only honor those individuals whose contributions come to Major League Baseball. So we are not set up to honor someone who perhaps had a great career in founding Little League Baseball or amateur sports. But the Hall of Fame's mission certainly recognizes the contributions of players who were not permitted to play in Major League Baseball due to the color of their skin. When baseball was segregated prior to Jackie Robinson's arrival in 1947, so many great players never had the opportunity to play baseball at the Major League level. Native Texans like Rube Foster, Louis Santop, Biz Mackey. These are all individuals that are now enshrined in Cooperstown because the Hall of Fame believes that their contributions were just as important, they simply weren't given a chance. This is my favorite statistic on our baseball card. 17,500 men have played Major League Baseball. Only roughly 1% get elected to the Hall of Fame. So when you're talking about Nolan Ryan, when you're talking about Joe Morgan, when you talk about the great Hall of Famers, it truly means something in baseball. And I think that's part of why our institution matters and why we're still relevant today. Other sports have minimums and maximums. Baseball Hall of Fame, you have to earn your way in. 2012 will honor this year Barry Larkin, the great shortstop from the Cincinnati Reds, and Ron Santo, the longtime third baseman for the Chicago Cubs, who played in the 60s and 70s, who was elected to our Veterans Committee. We'll also honor 2 award winners, Tim McCarver and Bob Elliott, for their contributions to broadcasting and writing, respectively. What's it mean to be a Hall of Famer? Excellence is the word that comes to mind. Someone who has excelled for at least 10 seasons at the highest level comparative to their peers. And there's some qualifications that you'll find in the rules for election for the Baseball Hall of Fame that don't appear anywhere else. 3 words: sportsmanship, character, and integrity. And yes, you have to be a great player. But those 3 words matter. And as we talk a little bit about more as to what we're doing as an institution, these are terms that are evident in every member who's earned election to the Hall of Fame. It's how you play the game. It's how you treat your teammates. Not every member of the Baseball Hall of Fame is a shining example of this, but this is what earns you election by the Baseball Writers Association of America. How you are viewed compared to your peers in all of these categories. Texans in Cooperstown. I'm a proud, proud Texan, and so any chance I get to talk about Texans in Cooperstown, I do so. As you can see, the Rangers and Astros are split, so now that they're going to be American League rivals, there's something else to have a rivalry over. 7 members of both the Astros and Rangers. As you can see from the list, Nolan obviously playing for both. One point of fact, each player in the Hall of Fame gallery has a logo on his cap. There's only one logo from the state of Texas, sadly, and that's the Texas Rangers T that appears on Nolan's cap. No Astros logo and no other Ranger logos. But I have a feeling those will change here in subsequent years. Natives, I talked about that earlier. 16 natives from the state of Texas have earned their rightful spot in Cooperstown. Ernie Banks, Andy Cooper, who was a great Negro League star, Bill Foster and Rube Foster, brother combinations, pitchers, executives of the Negro Leagues. Rogers Hornsby, the great hitter from Winters, Texas. Biz Mackey, the great backstop in the Negro Leagues. Eddie Matthews, Joe Morgan and Bonham. Frank Robinson, Nolan, obviously, and Refugio. Louis Santop, Hilton Smith, Tris Speaker. Willie Wells, El Diablo from right here in the Austin area. Smokey Joe Williams, and my favorite Hall of Famer, because he hails from the town of Shiner, Ross Youngs, who had a short and abbreviated career playing for the New York Giants. That flag, by the way, just doesn't fly every day in Cooperstown, but that's my office, and it flew on March 2nd in honor of Texas Independence Day. The staff saying, "Texas our Texas" at 10:30, you'll be happy to know. and prizes were given away for most Texan spirit. So fear not, my fellow Texans. I am doing my best as much as I can in the land of Yankees to make sure our history lives on. So what is Cooperstown? Well, it's a place where families share in great memories. Special events drive who we are, and most assuredly you're familiar with Induction Weekend, the great celebration that takes place the last weekend of July. This year in 2012 it will be scheduled for July 20th through 23rd. We're doing that a weekend early in deference to the Olympics, which open the next weekend. 50 plus Hall of Famers return every year. It's like seeing your baseball card collection come to life. And these guys were really special. And a couple of years ago, our president, Jeff Idelson, and I were on the veranda at the Otesaga on induction morning. And very early, about 7 a.m., and Yogi Berra and his wife Carmen were out there. Yogi's an early riser. And Yogi, of course, is notoriously infamous for his colloquialisms. And they're not by design. It's simply Yogi being Yogi. So he says, "Hey, I've got a question for you guys." I say, "Yeah, what's up, dude?" "Well, you know, it's raining today." Yeah, we can see that. Hopefully, it's supposed to clear off, though, by this afternoon ceremony. Everything will be fine. "Well, why do you guys always schedule a Hall of Fame weekend when it rains?" Cannot lie, cannot make this stuff up. This is what happens in Cooperstown. We also launched a few years ago the Hall of Fame Classic, and we call it the ultimate Father's Day destination. For all you fathers in the room, go home and tell your wives and your kids that you want to be in Cooperstown on Father's Day weekend. And for all the moms in the room, make sure you make your plans to get your husbands to Cooperstown to give him the proper love and respect for all that he does. 6 Hall of Famers, 20 legends, and a great family-friendly Legends game at Doubleday Field. There's nothing quite like it. Main Street Parade, guys riding trolleys, we do a hitting contest. It's like a scene out of Field of Dreams, and it's very, very special. We have a lot of fun with it. Finally, we recognize the values and the virtues of character and courage. These are 2 themes that are underlying importance to the Hall of Fame, and we honor a Hall of Famer each year who displays character and courage as part of his career, as part of his post-career, and how he now works in communities to maintain a charitable spirit. A very important part of what we do. There's a lot of photos of me there, but this slide is meant to simply represent how treasures end up in Cooperstown. As Steve mentioned, I do have the great honor and responsibility of being charged with artifact acquisition. So when a great moment happens in baseball, I'm on the phone. In the rare instance, I'm able to be there in person. But you can see from these guys smiling and happy faces. That's A-Rod there with the spikes from 600. David Freese, just moments after he hit the Game 6 home run. I'm sorry to have to show everybody that today. That's not a true smile on my face. That was a poor smile. And then Mitch Moreland there with a bat from 2010 World Series. Players are the ones who are most responsible for our ability to preserve the game and its history. And I started doing outreach in spring training to talk to minor leaguers to share this message with them. As part of the responsibility of wearing the uniform, when the Hall of Fame calls, it's your duty as a player to give. And that's simply because this game is made by the people, for the people, and that's why we exist. And in this day and age of memorabilia dealers and guys who have the means to build glorious showrooms in their homes, having them understand that a place where everybody can view baseball history is really paramount to our mission. So guys are really generous. That's how primarily items come in. We take in about 40 items a year from moments as they happen, as they unfold. Fans are great individuals who donate as well. Collectors, individuals. And then finally, financial support. We never pay for an artifact, but the financial support of gifts to the museum through our vehicles allows for us to preserve these treasures forever. Once an item comes into our possession, it stays there, it never leaves. And Andre Dawson had a great quote in his Hall of Fame induction speech 2 years ago that I think applies more than just to people on the field. If you're a baseball fan and you love this sport, the game will love you back. And that's the emotional attachment that happens when you bring your daughter and your son through the front gates at Dell Diamond It's what happens when you go to Cooperstown and you share in this moment. And you realize that baseball is a time continuum of almost 150 years, that we are simply on the train looking at its history and observing all of those great moments. So it's our responsibility as baseball fans to look out for the Baseball Hall of Fame, because it's what we have that's distinctly ours as baseball people. How do we bring Cooperstown to life? Through many different ways. Obviously, those of you who have visited, you probably came as a family vacation. Youth baseball tournaments are a great influx for us into Cooperstown now. There's a wonderful complex south of town, independent of the Hall of Fame, called Cooperstown Dreams Park, that's brought many Texans at age 12 and their families through Cooperstown so that they can see the museum. We also go beyond our walls with our education program. We've reached more than 10 million students nationwide through video conferences and point-to-point learning. And this summer we're launching a very important initiative. You'll see the logo down there, called Be a Superior Example. This program is designed to be our 17th education module. We teach math, science, history, labor relations, civil rights. But this one's going to be important because it truly is about the social climate of today. How do you teach kids to play the game the right way? Healthy habits and free of performance-enhancing substances. This program, when it launches this summer, will go out into communities, communities like Round Rock, where teams and family engagement is very high on the community priority list. So this is an exciting program. Working hard with our education team right now on building this curriculum and visiting Hall of Famers to get their support for the program and their participation. We also go beyond Cooperstown with special exhibits, and then we try to become a part of this community, a part of every community, coast to coast, by offering teams meaningful programs that can be included into their outreach and their game presentation. Membership is the primary vehicle of support. You all have today our latest issue of Memories and Dreams. This fine magazine comes out 6 times a year. It's dedicated to telling the stories that we experience in Cooperstown. If you become a member, you get this subscription to this magazine free, you get it to the museum for free. We have more than 30,000 members in 20 countries. They are our season ticket holders, and it's that baseline financial support from which all of our bonds are fostered. So I encourage you to take a look at the magazine. Also, as our treat today, we provided a free ticket there for you. So if you're coming to Cooperstown, just saved you $19.50. By getting in the museum, and if you've thought about Cooperstown but never wanted to come, please use this, and it's valid for a year, but make your way to the home of baseball so that you can see what this great game has to offer. These are some more of the benefits that you get from your membership. Hope springs eternal, right? We're at the start of a new year. These are a couple of my favorite quotes. Obviously, Rogers Hornsby. What do I do? People ask what I do all winter. When there's no baseball, I'll tell you. I stare out the window and wait for spring. I think he said that while he was sitting in Cooperstown, New York, where we get about 120 inches of snow each winter. But absolutely, if you're a baseball person, the winter can seem so long. So we're almost at the cusp of the new season. And then James Earl Jones, it's timeless and it's always worth repeating. The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball. America has rolled by like an army of steamrollers. It has been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again. But baseball has marked the time. This field, this game, it's a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again. When you experience the timeline of baseball like I do every day, you realize how small our existence really is, and that's our obligation to give back. A couple of examples of giving back: Craig Biggio presenting the bat and the cap and a number of items from his 3,000th hit in Cooperstown. I'd like to think that I've had some role in the long time continuum of baseball history. I introduced everybody in Cooperstown to Astrodillo and Astro Jack. And if there are any Astros fans who were going to games in the late 70s and early 80s in Houston, you saw these guys for a very brief time. And there's Joe Sambito there. So I was able to add some photos, and I donated my priceless Astrodillo mug. So, I don't know how I'll ever be the same, but I at least know that it's being taken care of and preserved forever. And then just to show how competitive baseball is, I've been on the road for, I guess, about 8 days, but I was in Florida this past weekend hosting a development dinner with Hall of Famers Tony Perez and Andre Dawson. And we were down in the Jupiter area where they train, and Tony and Andre both work for the club as special assistants to the general manager. So we had about 10 high-level donors at the dinner, and I thought I was providing a real nice compliment to the Miami Marlins. They, as you all know, or all may not know, baseball has a new format for postseason for 2012. They've added a wild card team. So the 2 wild cards will face off in a 1-game playoff at the end of the season. So I'm at the far end of the table, and I lean down, and Tony and Andre are at the end of the table. I said, guys, I really think that with this new wild card format, the Marlins are gonna get one of those spots this year. And Tony just threw down his napkins. Brad, I can't believe you. What are you thinking? We're gonna win the division. And his thick Cuban accent. And Andre says, Brad. All this time I thought I'd know you. Of course we're gonna win the division. Who's gonna beat us? I said, well, maybe Philadelphia, maybe Atlanta. The point is, hope springs eternal, and nobody ever thinks that they don't have a chance when that calendar hits April 1st. So it's the start of a baseball season. It's a great time to enjoy the game. In my quest to bring back some of the great moments of baseball history, I'd like to suggest that today we take infield before the game actually starts. So nobody takes infield anymore, but that was a great part of baseball and its history. So come see us, follow us on Twitter at Baseball Hall, follow us on Facebook, and please remember that there's a great institution who's out there every day looking after the history of our game, and there's a place there for everybody. And baseball is something that has been timeless in our American culture.